I'm Christina, and we're the Greatest Geeks, and we're here today to talk about Smallville Season 5. It was a eventful season. The Disciples of Zod showed up in Arrival, and then by the end of the season, we got Zod through Lex, and a lot of stuff happened, including their 100th episode, when Lana died, and then Clark went back in time, and then Jonathan ended up dying because there had to be a consequence for his actions, as Jarrell keeps trying to teach him. This Fortress of Solitude appeared in the finale, in the premiere. So a lot of stuff happened. Aquaman showed up, Cyborg showed up. It was a very eventful season. But there was good stuff, and of course there was bad stuff. But let's start with some good stuff. Arrival was your guys' favorite episode. It had a lot with like I said, with the Kryptonians showing up in the spaceship and
the fortress.
And Chloe revealed to Clark that she knew his secret, and Jarrell wanted to train him so he could save the world or whatever, and Clark had to leave to save Chloe, and he made a bargain that he'd come back, but then Lana was in trouble, so the consequence was that he lost his powers.
I always wonder what would have happened if he just did what Jarrell told him to do from that point. You know, but Smallville wouldn't have been Smallville if it was.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes Jarrell seems like an unreasonable jerk, but at other times, but most of the time, there's always a reason or wisdom or something behind it. There are a few times when it just seemed like unreasonable. I'm just like, why are they doing this?
Arrival was okay. It was kind of like, well, it was kind of like, oh my gosh. To me, it was the fortress that really did it for that episode.
And Lana and Clark got together, but then there was also this beginning of the spaceship thing, and then Lex and Lana started to form their bond over that, and so and Clark and Lana ended up breaking up when Reckoning happened. Which, by the way, I must say, was voted a lot for worst and best. But worst won a little bit more. It wasn't the worst episode, but more people disliked it than liked it. There's a lot of mixed feelings for that episode in general. But some other ones. Splinter was rated very high. When Clark got the splinter, and I don't know if we're supposed to find it so amusing when Clark goes crazy. Yet it is. It was so funny when Clark held his envelopes and he's like, "This money!" And they're like, looking like, "It's not money." His eyes are all bugged out. He looked like he was on drugs. Well,
it was hilarious. That episode was so funny.
It was funny how he was just going nuts.
I know they were trying to make it. It seemed like, I think they were trying to be serious. I think.
It was serious, but we were just, I don't know what's so amusing about Clark going crazy. But then another really good episode.
I liked when Aquaman.
Aqua. I was just about to say Aqua. I'm sorry for not mentioning Run. People are like, "Why didn't you mention Run last week?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, slipped my mind."
But Aqua was really good. My favorite part was when he was on the table and the water came down and he did a crunch, and it was like pow 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 pow, and his abs just was in 3D. It was like I didn't need glasses. Like it came through the TV, and I was so impressed.
After this episode, Aquaman literally had the best week ever. It's like, is it VH1 or I think it's VH1 that does best week ever, and Aquaman literally had the best week ever because he's had this image of being lame ever since, the Super Friends, and even though you might watch a Justice League cartoon or read some comic books and you see Aquaman hardcore, the general public remembers, stuff like, "I'm going to doctor this goldfish to get us out of these chains." Dumb stuff like that. And so this made Aquaman look really cool. Yeah. And modern and
really cute too.
Yeah, everything just was right in the episode. And he and Lois had a relationship, and Clark was totally jealous, even though he said he wasn't. And you got to see a little bit more of that Chloe spark. And then he's like, "I promise, one day you'll find someone even more special." Wink. Like,
yeah,
whoa.
it was funny because she's like, where am I gonna find a special guy like that? And then
they really started.
I remember when that first aired, and you was like, "Oh, sorry, you're just gonna have to deal with Clark." I remember you said that.
They really plugged in those hints of Lois and Clark. That was one person that they did right. Mixed feelings about the Cyborg episode because yeah, it was cool to have him on there, I guess. But
Good thing he was a cyborg because Lana totally would have killed him.
Yeah, with that
she would
car.
have killed him with her car.
Yeah, but you could tell he was cyborg until Clark did his X-ray vision.
Which the X-ray vision, it did look like, it had the face and and the whole side of his body and everything, but. It was kind of
It was beyond their budget, I guess.
Yeah, it was kind of like I can deal with that, like a modern version. Yeah, I can deal with that. I can deal with that. Still kind of miss the metal thing and the big buffness, but maybe
let's talk about some bad stuff.
Bad stuff.
Yeah, the bad place.
Well, what did the viewers vote as being
Thirst? And I'm gonna agree with you guys. That was the episode when Lana became a vampire.
It was so ridiculous. I like blocked most of it out. Like the only part that was a half entertaining was when Chloe like had the steak or whatever, and she was and Lana was like, "This isn't the movie, sweetie," or whatever. What was that? Or something. And I thought that was kind of funny. When she's like, "This isn't the movie, sweetie," but it was so stupid. She's like,
made Lana look so desperate.
It's stupid.
And I mean, like I know Clark seems like a desperate idiot sometimes, but Lana was like. We can be together forever, Clark. He's like,
you.
No. She's like, yeah. Like,
I'm gonna bite you.
I'm gonna bite you. I'm gonna make you my boyfriend forever.
It's like, when did you become this stalking, creepy? And then she totally
killed that chick,
somebody.
that Buffy chick. I think was that her name? Was her name Buffy?
I don't know.
Yeah, she totally killed her because there was apparently a cure because one of the girls Lana was cured, so she totally killed that girl with heat vision. I think the worst part about that episode was the fact that Chloe wrote about it for her paper to get a job at the Daily Planet, and Carrie Fisher was the editor-in-chief, and it's like, you have this sci-fi legendary actress on the show. And, I mean, at the time, being an editor, because Perry wasn't the editor until the finale, in the future anyway. And so that is an important job, but for such a lame episode, that's just sickening.
Yeah,
I can't disagree with you guys as far as that episode, because it was really, really bad. It was lame, and I wish it would have never done it. Especially recovering from the witch saga. But most of the dressed up stuff, fantasy stuff, I guess they just started throwing it to Lois, because in Aqua, she came out with that swimsuit and.
Yeah,
they used that shot over and over and over again.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm surprised they didn't put Lana in a bikini and they gave her a one piece and they gave Lois the bikini in that episode.
You mean you were surprised until you saw?
Yeah, I was like, because they first saw Lana and she had on the one piece, and I was like, I'm surprised they didn't give like the hot girl of the show a bikini. And then I saw Lois, I was like,
oh,
okay.
She's the
okay. She's the girl of the episode. It was
like
I saw her in the bikini. It was like I admire her and hate her at the same time, but it was cool. And I remember Tom Welling said that Erica Durance was actually terrified of water, so she had a fear of water.
Yeah, she's looking all cool coming out of the water, and then she jumped in there, and then she hit her head. I'm like, wow, Lois. But then she got to be saved by Aquaman.
Okay, we'll go back to the bad stuff.
Yeah, back to the bad stuff. Another really bad one was Void. And that was the one when Lana was taking that drug to see her parents and be ripped away from them again. Because
Lana would just have some issues.
Yeah, it was like she broke up with Clark and it was like, I'm sad, I'm doing this, and everyone was kind of like, Clark, this is kind of your fault. That's like how I remember everybody kind of treating it that way, and I'm like, how can you blame her addiction on the breakup? I mean,
it's stupid.
Is she that weak of a person?
People
like,
I know if some people are like, well, maybe you don't understand. Maybe you've never gotten your heart broken. These things feel terrible. Blah, blah, blah. People get dumped and broken up and divorced all the time. Get over it. Oh my god.
I mean, I know she had gone through a lot, but this season it made her really start really sinking, really.
And she really became annoying. She really became annoying. This was a season where it was like, okay, I am seriously no longer team Lana and Clark. Let's move Clark and Lois together, please, because this girl's getting on my nerves.
Her drug dealer ended up dying. She killed him accidentally. And it was on college campus, and I believe she had to use like a key card to get into the place. And there were cameras, and I'm like, how do you just get away with stuff like this?
In jail?
Like, how do you just get away with killing people with buzz saws or whatever it was? Like, it was a gruesome death.
It was, you know, it's just, I mean, you know, Smallville has had some weird tendencies because it's like Clark believes everyone should, you know, justice, that everybody should pay for their crimes or do this. But if his friends do any of it, then they can slide. Like, you know, Oliver, how could you kill Lex? That's wrong, but we're just going to forget about it because
you're just not one of us anymore.
Yeah. And then Lana killing people is just like,
you know what? I know you might be thinking, that's Lex Luthor. He's evil. Screw it. You know, Oliver did everybody a favor. Perhaps. But Superman, the real Superman, he really doesn't care. Justice is justice, and he does not cross a line.
He really doesn't.
Unless it's an alternate reality story, and when he crosses that line, things go dark. But generally, no, Superman does not cross that line. Like in Kingdom Come, if you've ever read it, he got mad because somebody killed the Joker. After the Joker went on a killing spree in the Daily Planet, and people didn't like some liked it and some didn't like. More didn't like Reckoning, the 100th episode when he proposed to Lana and told him his secret, and then she ended up dying, and then he took it back, and then she ended up breaking up with him, and then Jonathan ended up dying for just a misunderstanding. So I think the cloned people were happy, and then they were sad, but then the uncloned people were unhappy, and then they were ecstatic. And then when he said it back, everyone was upset because Jonathan died for a misunderstanding.
Well, the one thing I did like, when he crushed the coal and made a diamond, I was like, why are you poor? Why are you on a farm?
Yeah. How come other people went to the fortress later? But when Chloe first went there, she was going to freeze and die of hypothermia if he didn't get her out of there. But Lois busted up in there all comfortably season 10.
Jarrell adjusted the heating temperature.
I thought Lois was
He didn't like Chloe. Jarrell didn't like Chloe.
Okay.
He can see the future. He could see the future. He could see that Chloe was a vessel for Brainiac, and he was trying to kill her then.
James Marsters was on the season.
Yes, and, James Marsters.
I liked him.
I was very excited when I heard that James Marsters was going to be on there because I love him. I loved him on Buffy and Angel. He just made Angel season 5 so much better. And I was so excited to see him on there. I was a little disappointed that his hair is brown. I know he's a brunette and he's not a blonde, but man, I always miss those blondes.
What? And where's your accent?
Not British. But I thought he did a great job. I thought he was a great foe against Lex and Clark.
And most of the time he was, being a teacher, Professor Fine, and we knew he was Brainiac. Audience knew, but Clark wasn't aware of it. Well, let me just say, I guess as we're gonna close this, I remember being so angry in the season finale when Clark didn't want to kill Lex. There's that line, and he ended up trying to kill Brainiac, and he threw that spear thing in him, and then it ended up still going Lex was the vessel anyway, and Clark somehow got trapped in the Phantom Zone. And I remember being so furious watching him in that Phantom Zone thing, and I was so mad the entire, like, summer. I tried not to think about it.
Oh, yeah.
I was just so angry at Clark. It was another you idiot finale.
It was. And I think that was around the same time where Superman got trapped on the wall?
Source wall?
The source wall.
Maybe so.
I think so. Because I was like, man, Superman got trapped in the source wall in the comic books, and I was so angry of him being so stupid, you know. And then, you know, you watch Smallville or vice versa. I don't know which one came first.
That's why Batman needed to be on Smallville.
And then it was just like, oh, Clark, you're so stupid. You know, I'm glad Batman wasn't on there for an actual character, because they just would have ruined him. So, a guest appearance. Yeah. But to actually be a character on there,
you should have talked to me. I had it all worked out in my mind.
Yeah.
You didn't even have to call him Bruce Wayne.
But then
everything.
And then after, you know what? But the thing about the season finale, well, him being trapped in the Phantom Zone pissed me off so much as well, because he's so stupid. But another thing that made me so mad was Wanda and her obsession, her on and off again obsession with Clark throughout the entire season. And at the end, she says, Lex, you're the one I want to be with. And she kissed him. The world is burning around them.
Yeah.
The world is burning around them, and she wants to make out with Lex on the rooftop.
Yeah, and Chloe randomly kissed Clark. But, yeah, I thought it was funny how Lex is possessed by Zod, and he's like, you know, I want to be with you. And he just doesn't say a word. He just kisses her back like, you know what? I think that's funny. You've been trapped in this Phantom Zone, ain't got nobody, but you still remember you a man. And there's this beautiful woman saying, I want you. And he's just like,
I haven't had a woman.
I'm going to take this.
Yeah, sure. Well, anyways, tell us what you think. I'm Katrina.
I'm Christina, and we're the Gorgeous Geeks.